On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, things were going very well for the Avs, up 3-0. Could it get bad? It did. And they lose this thing. They lose it 4-3. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast, which is probably going to be very frustrating and annoyed and whatever words you want to throw in for this guy, because these are the ones that just get under my skin and frustrate me. I want to get to that, I'm wondering if I should start the show on a good note or end the show on a good note. I want to start the show on a good note and say happy birthday to the one and only Shaggy Von Doom. It's a happy Shaggy birthday, with the exception of this win. But I guess I want to start with something that is positive, and that's the birthday of my one and only co-host here. So happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Who would have thought? I'd be here? It's borrowed time, day to day. So
well,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, and you think whenever the Avs play on or around your birthday, you're always thinking like, oh, they're going to win one for me. Like there's some outside force that just makes that stuff happen. But
imagine how I felt that first period.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to be feeling pretty good. Like, all right, maybe they are playing this one for me, and up 3-0. And then, I don't care that it's Edmonton. I don't care that it's, McDavid and Draisaitl. And yeah, those guys can turn a game on their head. You can't lose games when you're up 3-0 at home. It just like these are the ones that when you look back and be like, that's one that we let slip away. I mean, we just talked about when the Avalanche stole one away from the Rangers. And that is how the Rangers have got to be feeling after that game, because you had that game in hand. And yeah, I know it was only the first period and it was a long way. Well, you're up 3-1 after the first because you surrendered one in the last minute. Those ones just sting. And then it was just this methodical climb by the Oilers, and they stuck it to you.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this midway through the second and then all the way through the third, trying to cling to something positive. This is a reverse Rangers game. Congratulations, the Avs got aved. Like after that first period, honestly, it felt like you could have took on any team after that first, until that goal that was surrendered. Like you felt good, like Nathan MacKinnon was buzzing, like you loved the energy. You were getting outshot, but you were making your shots count. And it was like they were checking the boxes on everything that we were talking about in that Rangers game, and Bednar was talking about in the press conferences. And then they went into that intermission, and it was like they punched out. They said, that was it. They're good. And it just, that second was a slog. And that third, they ratcheted it up in the third. Like, I give them that. They tried to push. The power play, I'm at a point where what else can you say? I don't think they've scored on the power play since Martin Van Buren was president. Like,
I think this is the sixth game in a row that they haven't scored on it.
And it's abysmal. Like and you're letting up shorthanded chances, and you just can't generate anything. So when they pulled the goalie towards the end, I know it benefited them, but against the Rangers, but you're like, what is a man advantage to you? Why does it matter now when you can't do anything on the power play? It was just head scratching where the switch was flipped, because after that first period, you felt like this could be a 6-0 or 6-1 kind of effort, and it just disappeared.
And when you're up 3-0, even when you're up 3-1, we've been talking a lot about Mackenzie Blackwood and how he hasn't surrendered more than 2 goals. You're like, oh, this is in the bag. Even with who they have offensively, And I say that, very tongue in cheek. It wasn't, you still got to go play the game. You just don't phone it in because he hasn't given up 2 or more than 2. But, that one at the end of the first, I'm not saying that one at the end of the first was like, that is what turned this game. But those goals always just give both teams something to stew on during that intermission. For the Oilers, it was like, oh, that was huge for us because one more goal from the Avalanche. I think weren't those 3 goals only on like 5 shots?
Yes, they were.
I mean, one more goal from them, we got a goalie change here. You know what I mean? And so they get that one, or the Oilers do, and they can go into the locker room just with a different mindset. All right, we stopped the bleeding and stole one before the first. And if you're the Avs, yeah, you're feeling good because you got 3 goals in the first period, which you have not done all season long. But you go in thinking like, we gave that one up. Let's try to get this momentum back as fast as possible. And that did not happen. Good Lord. I mean, I have it up on YouTube as a second bullet point. That second period from an Edmonton standpoint was just, if you're a fan of Edmonton, that was a thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I'm looking for from the Avalanche. There's just something missing from the Avs in these last string of games that they can't do what Edmonton did in the second. And they have the ability to do that. We've seen them do that. Just control an entire period where you have the possession pretty much all period long. Like, and when the puck would go in the direction of the Avalanche, they'd bring it up their end of the ice. One pass that gets tipped away, Edmonton goes right back into their zone and continues to do what they've been doing all period long. The Avalanche just don't. I haven't seen them do that they'll have individual possessions where they do that, but just having a period on lockdown like Edmonton did was it was frustrating beyond the Avalanche side of it. But from a hockey just perspective, it was incredibly impressive what Edmonton was doing to the Avalanche in the second period. And that's when I started to feel like, and even before they got those 2 goals to tie it, I'm like, this is going to be a longer game than we wanted it to be, because look what Edmonton's doing right now. The Avalanche couldn't capitalize on being up 3-1 and continue. I mean, it's weird because like you can kind of say both teams had momentum going into the second, because Edmonton scored that goal. You can play off of that. The Avalanche with a good, I mean, you're up 3-0. You want to carry that out. And one team came out in the second and continued that momentum for the entire second period. It was hockey, like as pure form as hockey from an Oilers standpoint as possible, because they were everywhere in the second period. The Avalanche could do nothing.
And I have this weird, and watching that second period, just this last string of games, we'll go Chicago, Winnipeg, that Rangers game, and this game against Edmonton. It feels oddly of that effort level you got in the Dallas series last year in the playoffs, where it just, when Val disappeared off the team was just coast mode. And it feels eerily similar to that. Like, you see life, like you see Nathan MacKinnon doing Nathan MacKinnon things, and then you're seeing LOC score that goal to get everything going. But then it's just like it's a weird energy. And then Edmonton, like, you don't embarrass them like this when ESPN is spending all their time talking about Edmonton, and they go in that locker room, and McDavid has another one of those. I bet you that's a wonderful locker room in that intermission. And they come out and they know how to handle you. And it's like the Avs, I don't know if they wanted to stick to their guns and thought that was a winning method of play, but you showed nothing in that second period. No pushback, no adjustment. And in the third, it was like your back was against the wall, but even still, you shouldn't have been in that position. Like, just, there were so many little things that should have been done. And this is a week long of weird ghost-like coast mode effort for the Colorado Avalanche.
I didn't mind. Again, I don't mind the effort in this one was a lot better than most of that Rangers game. Most of it, like it was there. I thought they were skating hard. It was just Edmonton just knew how to combat you, and how to and there's moments. Well, one of them that sticks out of my head. Let's get a break in right now, and we come back. There's obviously a lot more to talk about with this one. So hang around. We'll get to our subtext people and our sound check as well. That's coming up later. That's going to be an interesting one. All right, we'll talk more about this on the other side. All right, let's hear from FanDuel. And from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300. We've gone up $100, Kyle. We went from $200. Now we're at $300 in bonus bets. If you win your first bet, that's $300 to keep the action going. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with that $300 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, I mean, I know, like you were saying, like the effort and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with the effort. I just have like issues with like individual plays. You had turnovers again in your own defensive zone. Josh Manson had a couple turnovers. Middleton had a couple turnovers. You had the one that just, oh God, if I had that one back, maybe it would this game would have ended differently. It was in the second. Oilers are doing their thing, which is pretty much everything. And I think there was some fatigue here, but Kiviranta tried to backhand a clearing attempt, and it went just nowhere. It went right to the blue line. I think it was Bouchard who was on the blue line, who just easily caught it, brought it in, shoots a puck, and it goes in. That was the stuff that was like, those are the things where you just, all you got to do is just get a clear. And I know the Oilers are just everywhere right now, but when you have, if they have goals that they're just doing whatever, what they're doing, cycling ad nauseum, and then they get a goal off of that. Okay. That's just, they're sticking it to you. But when it's like nobody was around him, that should have been easy clear for him. And I don't know if it might have been fatigue. He maybe didn't want to get an icing, because then you're staying out there for an icing. Who knows what's going through their heads in, a split second. But that one right there is the one where it's just like, that one, you have to get out of that zone. And it ended up being in the back of the net.
And I have two more instances in the game that really stood out to me, that once you saw them and they stood out and screamed at you, you noticed these little things all through the game. One, Taser he was about to gain the offensive zone. As soon as he crosses the blue line, he's already got 2 or 3 Avs stacked on that blue line. He's carrying it. As soon as he gains that blue line, instead of, he had a clear path to drive and make something happen, he doesn't even look. Nathan MacKinnon sitting right over here against the boards. He just dumps, doesn't even look. Nathan MacKinnon really wasn't expecting it. Fumbles, and it goes back the other way. I'm like, just gain the zone. Like, enough of the cute little passes and not looking, because guess what? That's not working. Like, that's frustrating. And that's a lot of the power play issues, because when they try and force feed MacKinnon, it's always on his wrong hand. It's always not looking, trying to be cute, and it just doesn't get there. The second moment was a delayed penalty. The Avs reset again.
Yeah.
Reset again. And then when they gained the zone, Mikko Rantanen, after finally getting the zone entry he wanted, just skates into an Edmonton player. They touch the puck. That's it. It was like 25 seconds of delayed penalty. They go through all that effort. As soon as they get the zone, they turn it over. And it's just like, do we know what we're doing when we get in the zone? That's one of their big issues right now, is getting in the zone and knowing what to do with the puck. It's like they have been taught, as soon as you gain the zone, pass it away. And something's got to just go back to simple hockey.
I think that's what at least on the power play, it's what they're trying to do, and that's not even working. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of the power play. I feel like they're just going to drive this thing until hopefully it turns on its head. And I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting for Valenchuskin to return, so he's your net front presence. But I have no answers for that. At this point, I have no answers for that. I can't make heads or tails of why it is not working.
Currently 17th in the league.
Yeah. And once again, you got a power play opportunity late in the game. In the third period, you get one. And it wasn't even a power play where you're like, oh, they came so close. They had shots on net. It was just the regular slog of a power play that it's been for them for the past handful of weeks. And go ahead.
And it's not going to get better. Like, these are the games that you want to try and refine that. New York, Edmonton, that's a little bit of a cushier penalty kill that you can make something happen. You're about to face Dallas on Saturday. They have the number one power penalty kill. Like, if you're going to do anything with the power play, it's not going to be against Dallas. It's not going to get easier. Like, the time for refinement was those Chicago games, was those games that you just kind of lucked your way through. And it's just, it's frustrating to watch it. Yeah. We were talking about, you started the season, this is a top 4 or 5 power play, and now you're sitting at 17th. And it's egregious how bad the power play has become.
You could just see the difference in the two teams, and Edmonton is rolling. Mm-hmm. Just overall, they're on a roll, and you can see, like, especially in that second period, but really just for the duration of the game, minus the start for them that got them down 3-0. They're a team that's in tune, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, man, are the Avalanche not where we thought they were with that? And I know they have injuries, and guys are constantly getting injured, and there's different lines all the time. But you're at the point of the season where you should be kind of just feeding off each other, no matter who you're playing with. And you just see, like, things are still just a hair off. And in this league, when things are just a hair off, you're not going to look good, and it doesn't look good for the Avs. They're getting. Miraculously, they're somehow getting points, and they're winning games here and there. They went on a pretty good stretch not that long ago, but now it's back to they're grinding to get these wins. And when it went up 3-0, I'm like, oh, this would be nice. Yeah. This would be nice to have a nice, quiet, relaxing blowout victory. I didn't think that was going to happen because it's Edmonton, but look what Edmonton did to you, especially in the second. They just negated the Avalanche top line. You know what I mean? Like, when Nathan MacKinnon's out there, Mikko Rantanen is out there, they spend their entire time playing defense. When you finally do get the puck, they're changing. So the Edmonton, the Draisaitl and McDavid are fresh, and they're in the offensive zone. They're doing their thing. Our guys are chasing them. And then when that's over, they're on the bench. And that happened for the entire second period. And in the third, it started coming around again, but and you're tied. You give up that late goal, and when they gave up that goal to Bouchard, I just was like, yeah, I know there's still like 6 or 7 minutes left, but the way that it's gone since you surrendered this lead, it just didn't give me a lot of like faith that they could pull this off like they did against the Rangers.
And see, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts, because it's you're 6-3-1 in your last 10. You're 10 points out of first. Right. But yeah, it's good. You're 10 points out of first in the Central. But there's been so many times that you've been right there. And if you make that move, if you make that push, if you take down this opponent, you're there. And it's all these little things that we complain about: the faceoffs, the power play, the passing, the zone entries, all of these things. When you play superior teams that are also making a push, those all end up being your demise. And if you start cleaning them up and addressing them instead of just saying, same old, we'll get over it. No, something has to change. I know they've already played with the lines a little bit, but there's something somebody has to take accountability. It can't just be Bednar and Taves yelling in the post games. Like, somebody in this locker room has to say, guys, let's just slow it down, clean it up. Like, there has to be some kind of step up moment. And I keep waiting on this moment as well.
Well, you said 6-3-1 in the last 10, that's good. Like, I'll take that. And we had a lot of comments, people saying like, man, you guys are really down on the Avs after that Rangers game. We weren't the only ones. Go listen to the team. Yeah. Go listen to the head coach. We talked about that in yesterday's episode. And it's yeah, it's good that they're getting wins, but the way that they're playing, it's not good enough. And you heard that from multiple guys. You heard that from Taves. Even tonight, I think it was LOC, or I think it was maybe even Cale Makar said, yeah, that like this isn't good enough. And what do you want to be just a mediocre team, or do you want to be an excellent team that it expects excellence? And because that's what wins the Stanley Cup, not just getting your way through a regular season, playing okay hockey some days, other days that it wasn't your night. It just feels like the Avs are struggling to put together a string of games, a strings of periods where you can really. They had one little string that was not that long, or like right around the Christmas time, and the calendar was changing. And I thought, like, this is what we're going to get for the duration of the season. That's wiped out.
Yep.
And you're getting like when you lose to Chicago, when it's a rough going against the Rangers, and you have to pull that out last second, and then this is not how you want to play. It's not cohesive. You can see it, and you saw it in the difference between these two teams. Or the Oilers are a well-oiled machine right now. We've seen the Avalanche be something like that. They're not right now, and it's just we're back to the game to game. You don't know what you're going to get for the Avs. That's where we're at right now.
And see, that's the frustrating thing. I remember a time, like, we're used to the Avalanche always being in the playoffs and always being a great team. I remember the time before this was the thing where you're watching that magic number, game 82, where you're going into your Avalanche game, but also keep an eye on St. Louis and Dallas and Minnesota. Did they lose? How many points? How many, like, these games right here is where it starts adding up at the end of the year, when the points come in and after the trade deadline, and there's no other moves you can make. This is your team. You have to ride to the end. These games against Chicago, I can't believe we were up 3-0 on Edmonton and we lost that game. Like, when you're looking in hindsight, that's 2 points we really needed at this point right here. Like, that's where it matters. So yes, I know 6-3-1, it's okay. But these are games that, if they adjusted one or two little things, you could get 2 points and you could be in a better spot. And you could gain momentum going into these harder games, like on Saturday against Dallas.
I mean, if you're losing games and both teams are playing well, and you're back and forth, and I can kind of live with that. You know what I mean? Because it was a hard fought game, and it was just one bounce here or there that lost you the game, and that's the sport of hockey. But when it's stuff like just passing, and not being able to gain an offensive zone and stay in an offensive zone and have a good offensive possession,
discipline.
And when you see the other team doing it, and you're like, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. I'm jealous of the Edmonton Oilers right now, because how they played is how I want the Avalanche to play. And I know they can. That's the other frustrating part. They can play that way. We've seen them do it so many times, and it's just. They could come out on when's the next game? Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they could do that, and it wouldn't surprise me, because they're capable of it. And that's just the frustrating thing of how it's going right now for Colorado. So I don't know, man. We'll stew on this one for a day, and then get back to it. That's all you can do. You just gotta get back at it. So obviously, yesterday we talked a lot about Mikko Rantanen, and everybody thinks he's going to get traded. Well, everybody that's other fan bases think he's going to get traded, I should say, or hoping that he gets traded. If you listen to us, you know that we don't feel like that is going to happen. He either signs an extension, plays out the rest of the season, or he'll sign in the offseason or go somewhere or sign somewhere else. We don't feel like a trade is anywhere on the table for these two. But that doesn't stop other media outlets from putting forth their best trade packages for Mikko Rantanen. And we're going to talk about these. So we got our last break in, and then on the other side, this is the first one that I've seen. That's not just you hear the Marner one all the time. But this one is quite interesting. Let's talk about that next. All right, welcome back. Yeah, like I said before the break, you're going to start seeing trades and mock trades for Mikko Rantanen, and they're all going to come from another fan base's websites and things like that. And I always love these because they're always one-sided towards that, whoever that writer is writing for, their team. And like I said, we're going to bring these up because number one, they're fun. And maybe every once in a while you get one that you're like, oh, that'll make me think. This one didn't really make me think that much. I think I got dumber after looking at this one. But hey, the guy put it out there. I'm not going to say where it's from, or if you want to go look it up, feel free. So here's the trade. It's between the Colorado Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes. Kyle's favorite team in the East. The Carolina Hurricanes, of course, get Mikko Rantanen and either Ivan or Nikita Preshapov. Okay. And the Avalanche get Marty Nishis, a 2025 second round pick, and a 2026 third round pick. So think about this for 1 second. I like Marty. No, yeah, well, in that, to say no, thank you. You don't have to
like you're telling me Mikko Rantanen for if you just went straight up Mikko without the additional, just straight up. And Mikko for Nishis and what, a second and a third?
Second and a third. A second this year, a third next year.
No.
So, yeah. What made me laugh at this is like if you look at it, you're giving Carolina Mikko Rantanen and a prospect, and I don't like Ivan. He's been up there almost all year long, and he's done fine. Or if you want Prishapov, I don't know why they threw him in there. So you want two guys, one of them Mikko Rantanen, and you're giving us one.
Yeah. One. We're trading out 3 NHL experience and Nishis and futures. No. And I like Marty Nishis. I think he's a really good player. Is he Mikko Rantanen? No. And we're not even going to have that argument. So remember I said yesterday, like, does any trade involving Mikko Rantanen, which again, we don't think he's going to get traded. This is just for conversation. Does it make you better? That doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you better. And not only that, anything out of the first round, you could even back it up and say anything halfway through the first round and beyond is a crapshoot for draft picks. So long term, you could be getting two guys that you never even see the ice for you, possibly at the NHL, or if they do, don't really pan out. If there is a trade with the way the Avalanche develop talent, get out.
There you go. Right. I mean, if Mikko Rantanen is ever going to get traded, which again, we don't think he's going to get traded. I feel like I have to preface that every single time I say it because people are going to be like, why, you thinking Mikko Rantanen get traded? No, he's not. If there's any deal involving Mikko Rantanen, it's involving first round draft picks, people, and probably multiple. Get out of here with this second and third round garbage. Are you kidding me? Like it minimally first round picks and then add the players after that for Mikko Rantanen. But if you think you're getting two players and you're giving us one
for a player that is
editor, my man, how did it get past your editor?
He's for the past 3 years has had 100 points and he's on track for a fourth in a row. Like that's it was unheard of to have players hit the century mark when it came to points, and now it's becoming more of a common occurrence. And you have Mikko Rantanen quietly doing it year after year. You're going to tell me Nishis in the first futures?
No. Nope. Don't think so. So I open this up to people if you're scouring the internet and you see any, because they're coming. These people really think that the Avalanche are dead set on that they're not going to come up with a deal and they're going to be forced to trade him. It's not going to. I think the Avalanche are going to ride this thing out with him, and I think in the end a deal does get done. But if you find any from any website out there, I don't want like the trade, the mock trade from Penguins guy 39 over on like YouTube or anything like that. But if it's from like a website that has a following, is legit, and we don't see it, please send it to us because we will. I want to talk about them because you will see how one-sided they are towards their team. And they're kind of comical. And this kicked it off. This kicked off the crazy Mikko Rantanen trade season for me. And I'm like, I got to bring this up because this is crazy. This is a crazy trade.
Yeah, bring your crazy trades in because these keep me up at night.
So, all right. Last thing we're going to do is, of course, our sound check. And that's where Kyle and I pick one song each that summarizes the most recent game, put it up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow along. Just search LOA Soundcheck. Volume number 4, these ones go on. So what do you got for this this game? Avalanche lost 4-3 to Edmonton. What do you got?
The voice of a wise prophet once said, it comes to be the soothing light at the end of your tunnel. It's just a freight train coming your way.
All right.
We're going No Leaf Clover from Metallica. Their luck ran out. So if you just take it off the name alone, but no, yeah, you honestly felt like the game was yours at the end of the first. You were having like a party and ball, and then that was it. It was a freight train. You got the freight train hit you in the second, and you tried to climb onto the third. It just didn't happen. So just
you haven't gone Metallica in a while.
No, I haven't. It's my birthday. I could do it.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, celebrate with some anger.
That's right.
On your birthday. All right, it's a good one. For me, it's all in the song title and the lyric, but it's an Alanis Morissette song, and it's called "The Reasons I Drink." Is the name of the song,
bro. I literally had that one on deck.
Did you really?
I literally did.
No way. We've never, because I don't know what you're picking. You don't know what I'm picking. I'm waiting for the day where we pick the same song.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. But that's funny that you almost have it. Yeah. These are the losses. Like I said in the beginning, these are the losses that just stick with you and just get under your skin. And I wish the Avalanche were on a back-to-back. That's the other thing. Edmonton was on a back-to-back, a road back-to-back. And they came in
and they had to climb to fight that one too. And they had to.
They just, Alanis Morissette. Reasons I Drink.
We've done this for the sound checks for 4 years. Like that's 82 games, 4 years, and playoffs and extra stuff, and never got the same song.
No,
that was the closest we've ever come.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. So, but I wish the Avalanche were on a back-to-back just to go out and you know when you have a loss like that. You can just get right back. That's why baseball is great because you're playing every single day. And I know back-to-backs suck, but I'm just saying, like, to get back out there and just wash this stink off of this game.
This one you need some practice. I'm curious to see what the practice looks like.
All right. We'll see. All right, everyone. That is going to wrap it up for the Shaggy Von Doom birthday party. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. We're going to record after that Saturday game, so we'll probably be back Saturday night. I think it's an afternoon game, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 o'clock Mountain, I think.
Is it? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we'll be back after that game, discuss how that went down. Hopefully it's an Avalanche win. So thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, the birthday boy. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys later. And you just made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby is that much closer to becoming a Colorado Avalanche.
Rest in peace, David Lynch.